Hello, my friends. This is Vince, and we have got a lovely episode full. Have we done this in a while? I'm trying to see this. I don't think we've done an entirely TIFU episode in a while. So let's get started with this episode, this TIFU episode of the RR Show right now. Our first episode, of course, like I said, comes from r/TIFU, posted by user AussieFrizz16. TIFU by going camping alone and doing mushrooms with strangers. Obligatory this was many moons ago, but the recent camping post had me reminiscing. I was in my late 20s and have minimal experience camping and never alone, but was familiar with this area in the Washington State Cascades. It's a primitive camping area on a lake, which is at the end of a 15 to 20 mile dirt road off the freeway. It's called Lost Lake. I was going camping with the intent of connecting with myself and God. I was coming into a time of life where I was content and happy to do things by myself, if that was the only option. I set up a raging fire, and now it's heading towards dusk. I was having a few beers and enjoying the unnecessarily large fire when a dog ran onto my campsite. Two cute ladies in their early 20s chased their dog onto my site, and we exchanged pleasantries, although I had a committed girlfriend at the time, my wife now, and wasn't flirting, just passing the time. They show up with zero firewood, and it's getting dark and difficult to collect wood, so I help them get a large bundle, jumping over rocks and logs on the lake shore. I was a little bored, and it was a poor time and place to start getting much needed firewood. They were very appreciative and offered me some vodka, and I took a couple of pulls. We talked a bit more, and they offered me some weed. And at the time, I had not smoked in a long time, and so I obliged. They then offered me shrooms, which I had never done. My judgment was in the garbage, so I obliged. I get their fire going, it's late now, but it's a full moon. Nothing wild at all happening yet, and then they both really want to go for a walk. So they both strap on headlamps, and they each have a dog on a leash, and we just start marching up the lake. We stop and admire the moon. At one point during the march, I start rolling, and I'm convinced I'm being marched to my grave. We stop at a waterfall about a mile away, and I tell them I'm nervous about the situation, and they agree to turn around. As we're walking back to the campsite, the rhythmic buzzing of the insects almost feels like millions of grasshoppers breathing as one unit, and the faint light of the moon on the ferns, it made me feel like the earth itself was literally alive. Now, we get back to camp, and my sight is in the brush and the pitchiest of blacks, and I'm on another planet. There is no way I'm getting things in motion again there. It's cold and dark and scary and just not happening. I helped get their fire going, so it was natural for me to join them. I also pointed out how it exposed my situation was at that point and beseeched them to pretend we were really good old friends because I needed that in the moment, both for my safety and for the enjoyment of the situation. They were happy to talk by the fire and made me feel welcome, although they were going through some emotional things. I remember the fire looking like a hearth from Helm's Deep. I remember being there, longing so desperately to be at a nightclub or somewhere with lights and music, which is funny because I've heard that people that do shrooms in those settings long for the wilderness. I remember looking up at the stars, and they all looked like they were shooting through the sky with a long tail, but weren't actually moving. I'm staring up at the sky, and one girl asked me what I was thinking about. Without taking my gaze from the psychedelic celestial bodies, I replied rather nonchalantly, "Well, I'm convinced now that you two aren't going to kill me," to which they let out a muted laugh. I took a pause, still looking at the stars, but I really was thinking about God and my friends. And that's all I said. And that's all I had the capacity to say. And to say I was demure in the delivery would be an understatement. At this moment, one of the girls just released on me every ounce of hatred for God and how terrible God is, and on and on. It was a tide of hatred being spewed upon me, and I was a captive audience. I didn't argue, I just listened for what must have been 45 minutes of this. I was just praying to become sober again so that I could take care of myself in the wilderness and stop listening to the hate. After all, I wasn't there doing anything differently than what they were doing. I finally felt that I'd become sober again, and a wave of relief rushed over me in a way that I can hardly explain to have my faculties finally back. It felt like I was finally released from a strong ocean riptide and placed safely on the sand. It felt like gently and safely landing on the tarmac in a plane that had run out of fuel. I said goodbye as fast as I could, backed up my Saab 93 with haste and great glee, strapped the canoe on top, bumped some Fleetwood Mac, and drove home at 3 a.m. First, last, and only time I do shrooms. Our next story in this r/TIFU episode comes from user Vesper the Kitty. And the title is TIFU by giving out the secret recipe at my job. This happened well over a year ago, and I'll be changing some of the details to remain anonymous. I work food service, and at my job, we have secret sauces. The secret sauces are basically our bread and butter. It makes our food stand out in a saturated market, and they are damn good. The sauces are top secrets. I had to sign papers when I was hired even. This has never been an issue, but if a customer asks, I will let them know it's secret, but it can be bought in bulk. If they have allergy concerns, we can simply let them know if their allergen is included. Well, anyone who works in food service or deals with the general public knows sometimes you get someone crazy. I had one of those moments relating to the sauces. We get a phone call on the manager line. No big deal. I can handle answering questions and dealing with the occasional Karen. As soon as I answer the phone, this woman is screaming. She's going on about how her daughter had one of her sauces and is dying of an allergic reaction, not letting me get a single word in for a solid minute. Before long, she starts to demand to know the ingredients of the sauce her daughter consumed. I let her know it's a secret, and she screams more. I don't give a damn if it's secret. What's in the sauce? My daughter is dying. In my head, I'm wondering why she isn't going to the hospital, but I didn't want to make things worse by doubting her. Admittedly, I was a bit shaken up by the situation and let her know some of the common allergens in our sauce. She said it was none of them and continued to scream at me and said that she wants to know what's in it. In my panic, I don't think to simply ask her what her daughter is allergic to, so I did. I listed off the ingredients, and after a certain one, she starts screaming again, saying how irresponsible it was for us to have that kind of ingredient in our sauces. She demanded I give her my regional manager's phone number, which I did since I had been in contact with him, and he gave me the go-ahead. He's very capable and moved to the area in the last few years, so he has a different area code. She made a comment about how much of a sham company we are for him to not even have a local number, and hung up. Later, my regional manager spoke to me about it to get my side of the story, and I thought that would be it. But to my dismay, we get a review where she lists off every ingredient in our sauce and goes over the situation from her perspective, completely misrepresenting our company and the precautions we take to cater to those with dietary restrictions. The review is still up to this day since apparently we can't get it taken down, but I feel like they know it was me. I mean, they have to, but I've never seen comeuppance for it. I think it's because the owners like me. Our final story again comes from r/TIFU, posted by user EmptyAd8432. TIFU by evacuating and emergency calling my entire family over a false fire I started. Went about my morning in a completely normal way. Ate breakfast, made plans for the day, and texted people. Put some food out for my sister to make later, and finally started getting ready to go out and do some errands, when I smell the strongest smell of smoke I ever have before. Like 5 minutes of it was enough for me to be coughing on it strong. At first, I thought it was an electrical fire in my room, so I turn off the wires and wait for the smell to go away. When it doesn't, I go outside to check things out. No smell of smoke from outside the house, which is common in Australia in the summer, but the smell inside has only gotten stronger since I left my room. Now I'm actually panicking because clearly this is a serious issue and not a controlled issue with overheated wires. I evacuate my siblings and make some calls. My life depends on it. I spend ages getting stuff together and herding my brother and sister outside the house, searching everywhere for the fire and turning off every cable I can find. Absolutely nothing. The smell is only getting stronger. I'm coughing more and more and starting to get lightheaded. There isn't any visible smoke I can track, but the kitchen is hazy. I give up on finding the fire and wait for my family to arrive and get us away from what I'm convinced will soon be a pile of ash. I'm frantically removing everything I know and I'm going to need from my room, and my brother is fetching things for me and my sister. 1 minute before help arrives, I know there's nothing more I can do to salvage the situation. So I keep turning off outlets and praying the fire department will be able to resolve things when we call them from a safe distance. Then, my brother lets me know that he has found the fire. There was no fire. Instead of putting a hot cross bun wrapped in a paper towel and off microwave like I was supposed to, my body has adjusted so much to turning the microwave on that I wind the counter to 7 minutes and activate the thing without noticing I've done it. I hear the beep of the microwave and start to walk away, sure that it is off. The fire is a pile of char in the microwave. My family arrives and he informs them of the situation. My siblings haven't stopped laughing about it in about a half an hour. My grandma has informed me how seriously I need to be diagnosed for ADHD. And the entire family already knows I have. I'm already sitting outside like an idiot. So thanks for being with us. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcasts and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, please follow or subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling extra nice, you might as well leave a 5-star review. But for more, visit the website, rrshow.com. That is rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince, and we'll see you next time here on The RR Show.